What's up? How y'all doing? But don't answer yet because the chats are not activated. They will be in a second. It's gotta. Hit the button, but gotta give it a second for the streams to actually start up everywhere, or else it'll mess up. Oh, and I gotta put the new YouTube video ID in. And I gotta make sure the YouTube stream is on the right stream, which I think it is. Don't think I messed that up. Yeah, it should be good. What's up? Oh yeah, YouTube chat works automatically. Actually, hold on. I gotta not put that in, or else it'll display YouTube chat twice. Okay. Open chat pop-ups. Let it lag as it uses all of my RAM. All right. Think we're good now. Yeah, everything should be good. Yep, okay. Everything's good and great. Reform and AFD basically are going to have majorities next elections. Oh, wait, that's a old message. Yeah, it just repeats it. I want to check if Rumble. Man. Discord working? Yeah, it should. Might be a little. It should be working. Yay. Woohoo. If I do this, will Rumble work? Doesn't seem like it. Doesn't seem like it. How you doing this evening, sir? Pretty good. Who's watching Nav on a Rumble? Basically no one, but it'd be nice. It's fine to. I like having the chats activated so long as it doesn't actually take effort to set it up every time. But I think Rumble, I would have to set it up every time, basically. Yeah. I have had Rumble viewers, but Rumble is like you know, there have been non-zero viewers in Rumble before. It's never been big or anything, but it is like a there's a high enough chance of discovering me in Rumble that I would prefer the chat to work in there. If it doesn't take setup every time, but it takes setup every time as far as I know. Anyway, welcome back, Metro and Michael, of course. I gotta make my caffeine. We thought of joining ICE. The signing bonuses are insane. I have not thought of joining ICE. Believe it or not. Believe it or not. I don't actually know. I'm in North Carolina. I mean, they got to do 50K signage. I haven't seen 50K. Where the fuck? I haven't seen that. At what point do you have a moral obligation to join ICE? Because the signing bonus, if you donate to the Shrimp Welfare Project, is enough to outdo the harm of joining ICE. What's up, Patrol? The signing bonuses for ICE and DHS are at 50K. I didn't see that ever. Spencer Hakeem. What's up, Isaac? 2023 Nafa, what do you think of this small conflict going on called Israel and Palestine? Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it develops. I don't know where we'll go next. Obviously, tensions have cooled since the little 2021 scuffle they had. What's up to Hamster? Hopefully tensions stay cool. I think Hamas has shown in Israel, even Israel, said this, that they don't think Hamas is super intent on doing another big attack. They want to actually try to negotiate some settlement. So 2023 Nafa, you should really debate Charlie Kirk. He's a good debater. I would love to. I mean, I know he does his tours. ICE now offering a 50K signing bonus, 60K student debt repayment, 25% premium pay to anyone willing to join today. Is there a source for this that's not Spencer Hakeem? I'm familiar with the economist Israeli Kirzner. I feel like I've heard of them before, but off the top of my head, I don't know. Anyway, glad you're here, Isaac. Because real quick, astute observers might notice that my camera looks worse. I gotta figure out what exactly is going on. I got a new phone, or a second phone. I don't intend to use it as my main phone, but I might end up doing that just because it's good. But basically, I want to do the IRL stream stuff, right? And it's way too expensive to actually get a camera and do a bunch of bullshit with an actual physical thing. Oh yeah, this is just a real thing on their website. I'm assuming this is not for everyone, by the way. This has got to be there's an asterisk here. I bet it's up to these benefits. I bet it's what's a means tested is probably not the right word, but I bet it's if you're low enough income or something, they give you these whatever. RFK just announced he's gonna run. Isn't that cool? Yeah, let's hope he wins the primary. That they're obviously gonna have. Obviously, Biden's gonna drop out or not interested. So, can I link you something about them since you're interested in it? I mean, you can link it, sure. In 2008, I knew a bunch of guys who signed employment contracts to do various jobs, and you committed to that job for a term or contract. There was no backing out, and managers know it. I wonder if you are. I bet it is also you have to commit to 4 fucking years or some shit. But anyway, this is the S23 Ultra I'm using right now. I got it really cheap because the screen is cracked. It's actually not even cracked that bad, which is why I might end up using it as just my regular phone, even though I didn't expect to. It's it has a better camera, but sometimes you can see it's I think it's doing some weird AI smoothing thing, and I don't know if I can just disable that, at least when I do the Droid Cam OBS thing. I don't think that'll happen when I do the IRL stream because I can just that uses like a different app which lets me control more stuff. But it looks a little weird. And I got these new headphones, by the way. Very relevant. It's even what if I just look up this person? I'll know if I know anything or recognize anything I know of him. No, I don't think I've seen any of his stuff. I might have seen this, whatever. I don't know. But yeah, so I gotta figure out what weird AI smoothing shit it's doing. I wasn't able to. I don't know exactly why it's doing that, but got that for IRL streaming, which means I can use my regular phone. Well, A, it's a better camera, hopefully. B, on my regular phone to like look at chat and stuff when I do the IRL streams. And I should be able to essentially use my phone as a hotspot, and then I can bond. I can get my own. I can get a different plan for the camera phone. And I'll have two cell phone plans, and you can bond them. When you bond them, ideally, the connection will either be faster, or you can just use one as like a backup thing in case there's like a dead spot for one carrier, the other carrier still has service, and hopefully it won't drop out. And it'll have like disconnect protection stuff, so it won't immediately like if the connection drops, it won't just like end stream. It'll just go to a different scene within my OBS because it'll actually be streaming from my computer. So hopefully that'll be cool. And I got a bunch of other. This is where all your fucking donations and birthday money went. I got like a gimbal. What's the rate on that bond? You know, depends. Yeah, I got a gimbal. Got a decent deal on. So it'll be nice and smooth. Hopefully, ideally. Look at this. I got some microphones. I got decent microphones actually. Because they were cheap on Amazon. I got the Holland or Hollyland Holland. Markham 2. These are like decent actual lav mics. I shouldn't say actual, but USB-C like lab mic stuff. They were $76 on Amazon, which is like cheaper than you can get them like used on eBay. So that was goated. And I got the fucking interview microphone shit. It'll be goated. And there's battery banks in there. So ideally, with all this bullshit, next IRL stream will go a lot smoother than the first one me and Isaac did. I don't know if Isaac is still here, but ideally. Although I don't know for sure. I haven't made any like formal plans with Isaac or anything yet. So it will. I mean, I'll go to somewhere no matter what. But this has got to be like a also. Only for like certain jobs or whatever. How old do you have to be for whatever this is. Requires no college degree, offers up to 50,000 in signing bonuses. U.S. citizen. Pre-employment drug test. Requires the selected to carry a firearm. Any person who's been convicted of a misdemeanor or domestic violence. It's October 6th, 2023 when Sync for Simpler. Yeah, exactly. What's up, Dylan Thomas? Welcome back. Back when I feel like that was the last. I was trying to decide on a date because I didn't just want to say 2023. And even I felt like maybe before the Russian invasion of Ukraine would have been a funny one, or would have been a good one too. But I also we already had a decent amount of inflation then too. So I was like I feel like October 6th, 2023. Okay, that was like a good like things were just like relatively chill. Okay. It was like not everything was great. There were a few things on fire still, but that overall much simpler, much more chill time. True, exactly. I meant there's like no wait. Do I even superior academic achievement provisions? Wait, why is it saying, is this like a recommended? Oh no, you qualify for another, the whatever grade level if you have more. How's it go back to 2020 for any kind of sanity, lol? Yeah, I know, which is why, like, I didn't want to do like 2018 or anything. I don't know what things were like. I don't remember what things were like in 2018, bro. I didn't follow politics at all, so. Or even 2020, like the beginning of 2020 before full on COVID stuff. What do these acronyms mean? Oh, I gotta be 21? Damn, guys. Can't join ICE. It's over. 2010 was still pretty wild because Trump was doing wild shit. Oh, that's true. Yeah, obviously Biden being president is part of the appeal too. Okay, when we were a monarchy-free country, as I like to put it. Not like now, but it wild for its time. Yeah, it was wild relative to what we've seen before. Dang, guys, I was so close to joining. Oh no, 2015 was the last of the golden years. I miss it. I don't remember any. The only thing I remember from 2015 is like me gaming and like playing YouTube, bro. Like playing YouTube, watching YouTube, bro. Back when things were simpler. Am I getting a copy strike for YouTube Rewind? I don't recognize these people actually, but yeah, YouTube Rewind might not be the best. Might not be the exact best summation of what I was watching in 2015. I recognize those people. Yeah, I think I would have copy striked. Dude, surveying equipment? I don't know. I mean, it's gotta be China. It's gotta be like China, Japan, South Korea. I'm gonna guess Japan and maybe Germany as well. Japan was not that good of a guess. Germany. Okay, Germany was good. Germany's number 3. Maybe the US is. Maybe we make a lot. I feel like we could, but I feel like we could also not make that much. Okay, no, that was a good guess. Okay, we're number 1. Yep. I feel like it could be like South Korea or Vietnam. What's up, Starfuse? Is real /S. For real. Hey, wait, did we get gold? Ah, fuck. No, we did. We a tiny bit away. Goddamn. Canada, United Kingdom. I could have guessed Canada. Probably. I wouldn't have guessed the UK. All right, Tradle. 4 billion's quite a bit. And nickel, gold, and vanilla and cloves. And knit stuff. I don't know if it's. I feel like it's definitely 4 billion's quite a bit. I don't think it's Bangladesh, but I'm guessing it. Could it be South Africa? I feel like South Africa might have crustacean. It's got to be some island bullshit. It's in between them. Oh shit! Thanks, Dylan, for the membership. Let's fucking go. Epic, dude. I always forget which tier is which. Thanks for joining Epic Sauce. Let's fucking go. You know, I think that's actually the first YouTube member that's been like a that's not been gifted. It's its first voluntary YouTube member. I appreciate it. I'll make sure to make some members only posts for you, Dylan. Don't worry. I feel like it's. Why isn't a alert play? Yeah, didn't realize mine was gifted. Dude, everyone's was gifted, yeah. I should have played an alert, but YouTube alerts are fucked up. Bruh, okay, well, apparently. God, gold, right? This is a weird fuck ass country. I feel like there's no way it's like Mozambique. There's no way it's just Mozambique, right? Like, Madagascar? I guess that makes sense, dude. I should have guessed that actually, because it's a island. Madagascar is 4.3 billion, and what is Madagascar's GDP? What's Madagascar's population? 17 billion. $31 million people. That's more than I would have guessed. Why does it do PPP if I type in income? Yeah, I guess that's still a really low GDP per capita, but I was just watching this earlier. We're not watching this or anything.
Yes, okay. Oklahoma's the point.
Why is Africa so poor? Neocolonialism and unequal exchange. No, I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna have a super complex answer. I mean, I'm gonna say, well, you expect me to say it. Yeah, I mean, it's probably a lot of it is probably legitimately just the struggle to get on the narrow corridor. Also, by the way, just real quick, like I said, we're not watching this or anything, but what a fucking dumb, what a losing prompt, man. Are anti-abortion laws effective at reducing abortions? Really? This is what we're debating? What? The narrow corridor. You don't know what the narrow corridor is? It's fucking a smuggler, dude. Oh, look. This is even about Africa. Or it's got an Africa thing in the title. Infographics did a video about it recently. Seemed true. What about Africa? I'm actually writing a paper on the Lewis model and debunking Hickalite stuff in relation to Africa for school based. Yeah, I haven't had anyone. I mean, I should read up on it, even if I don't like talk to anyone who defends it or anything. But I haven't really had anyone talk about unequal exchange much. I guess kind of that one Seth dude from Jubilee, but you know, I know Econoblade made his video about it a while ago, and I know the one dude, the Zach, is his name Zach Cope or whatever? Like went insane and retracted all of his stuff, and that's just funny. But yeah, most of it seems rather stupid. Isn't it thesis that institutions cause economic growth? Don't those go hand in hand? You need human capital first. Zach Pope, LMAO. Yeah. I don't know what to find. Are you sure it's not? I thought it was we assume equal productivity because I think so. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. Dude, there's a lot of papers or whatever just make dumb, or like most of the unequal exchange papers or whatever, from my understanding, either like make just do that bullshit, or they just say like because we found like, or they just talk about like, oh, we look at productivity within one sector, like the fucking garment sector, and then we're like, oh, actually it's a similar level of productivity, therefore, you know, wages should be just as high in the garment sector in one country as the garment sector in another country. When it's like, well, no, because no, I mean, I haven't read this, but I'm kind of familiar with her stuff on this. Metro. I mean, you know, I'm not gonna have, like I said, I'm not gonna have strong opinions on like how like I'm just telling you from what I read, kind of what I think, but you know, I'm kind of familiar with her stuff on this or whatever. I think I mean, obviously it's gonna be there's gotta be a word for this or whatever. I mean, it's kind of gonna be circular. I mean, part of it is like, you know, how useful is human capital if you don't have institutions that can effectively, you know, like utilize it or whatever. Like, yeah, I mean, you know, for example, like, you know, Nicholas Decker, I didn't read this whole article, but he wrote a Substack piece recently about India's judicial system. Or maybe not that recently. What? There it is. And it's like, you know, how useful, you know, is human capital when your judicial system, your mechanism for enforcing contracts is so fucked up that there's like tens of thousands of cases pending before the Supreme Court, and you know, there's no it takes like over 30 years for every fucking court case to get resolved. But go on what you were to say about the garment industry and wages. Oh, obviously the average productivity is the thing that matters, right? Because workers' opportunities are limited by their next best alternative. That has an effect on their wages too. So it doesn't follow that just because within the same sector you see similar levels of productivity in the garment fucking industry, that wages are going to be equalized between two countries, because the workers' next best alternative in a lot of these countries, productivity doesn't entirely explain the differential. I mean, I'm sure obviously it's not going to be entirely whatever. Like, I know I've seen a paper cited before, for example. I haven't read the paper itself, but it was like, you know, roughly like 85% of the, or it wasn't even, I don't even think it was making a causal claim. I think it just said, basically, relative wages compared to relative productivity in other countries are like 85% correlated, right? Like as a percentage of U.S. productivity and as a percentage of U.S. wages, there's like a 85% or so like correlation there. Pretty sure like nothing is going to be entirely, I don't think, or whatever. Isn't this just coming down to purchasing power parity? No, not exactly. I mean, I know they all have like I know a lot of the unequal exchange people all have issues with PPP. They all think the PPP methodology is in some way flawed. I've never looked into it or anything, but the only people I've seen criticize it are the people who I think have kind of wacky beliefs and other things, which makes me sort of have a presumption in favor of saying, hey, PPP is, you know, probably fine. If these are the people I see mainly criticizing it, you know, it's probably pretty okay then. But you know, anyway, but you know, my like again, I'm sure there's good critiques out there of this stuff. PPP is unironically kind of shit. Oh no, oh no. Like I said, I mean, I've never looked into it. I don't know what the controversies over it are, but obviously, I'm not going to have anywhere near enough research to have strong opinions on this. And I think you know Metro. Like I'm just going in like, from my understanding things from the stuff I've read, I think it's likely that a big reason why African nations before is because they kind of struggle to have a state that exists on the narrow corridor. They're either, you know, they don't have any administrative capacity. Have you taken a developmental economics class? No. What's up, Canal Cobra? You know, either the state has like no administrative capacity, can't even collect taxes, it is cooed every other year, right? Or, you know, we have a state that is randomly nationalizing industries, has a really strong enforcement arm with like, you know, armed paramilitary groups and stuff, like, you know, or it doesn't even have to be paramilitary, but you know, regular military. Like I said, I haven't read this whole article, but this was interesting for what I saw. I think it's like 50 million cases pending. Nobody knows how many for sure. The Supreme Court has 69,000 piled up waiting for resolution. Of these, 18,000 have been pending for more than 30 years. Places where Europeans were able to settle, they didn't just bring property rights and other institutions, they brought themselves. Whoa, Glazer et al. Note that it's impossible to empirically disentangle the growth effects of the institutions from the growth effects of human capital, i.e. the effect is having a bunch of European descended people in your country. I guess I don't know if it's a it might be impossible in some cases or whatever, but like there are, for example, like I've seen a study before. This might be kind of broader than what you're talking about or whatever. But you know, for example, Japan, the study looked at Japanese islands. Essentially, Japan had begun essentially taking stock of its islands and like creating a property right system on the islands, and it was interrupted by World War II. So like there were some islands that had property rights during the World War II period and like afterwards, and others which didn't. And like there's a study that sort of looked at the growth rates of those islands, and it was like, hey, actually, you know, it turns out having a property rights on these islands actually led to more growth on these islands and everything, you know, led to more economic activity. So like there probably are cases like that where it is possible to determine to some extent, but you know, like I said, I'm not gonna have super strong opinions. I'm sure human capital is important, or I know human capital is important. Um, but I do also, think they're going to be like, for example, like just the India thing again. You can have a lot of human capital, but if your human capital is unable to enforce, contracts, for example, because of the judicial system being unbelievably fucked, obviously that's going to have pretty negative effects too. I don't know which effect is, which one is kind of going to dominate, which one is going to play a bigger role in countries' economic development, but you know. Indian government estimated that at current capacity would take 324 years to clear all the cases. That was in 2018. Since then, the number of pending cases has doubled. India has one of the lowest ratios of judges to population in the world, with 21 judges for every million people. Surprisingly, this is an improvement over the past. In 2002, the ratio was 10 for every million. The EU average is 200 per million, and the US 150 per million. One reads with grim amusement concerned that a low number of judges, say 100 per million, will endanger rule of law in Ireland or Denmark. If that is what it takes to endanger, then rule of law in India is positively extinct. Nobody knows the average time it takes a court case to be resolved for sure, but it's somewhere between 5 years for it to be resolved by the high courts, the second tier of the courts, and 13 years for the Supreme Court. 40,000 new civil suits are filed every day, covering everything from land disputes to layoffs to bankruptcy. 66% of all pending civil cases involve claims and counterclaims over who owns what land. The upshot of this is that firms cannot resolve disputes through courts. They must instead turn to extrajudicial methods, and the most common of them is keeping the business in the family. What's up, Nathan? How do you feel about Trump's 20-point plan for Israel-Palestine peace treaty? Oh, yeah, we were obviously going to talk about that. First of all, I have no clue what you're talking about. It is October 6th, 2023. And nothing bad is happening in that region. And things are normal. And it's good. Have you seen the national IQ charts? India doesn't have the human capital to fill these judges' seats. I mean, I guess I don't, I would imagine you could look at countries with an equal national IQ to India, which have a higher judge to population ratio. Like I don't think, I would imagine that's not really the constraint. I don't know how much human capital it takes to really be a judge, but like obviously I'm not particularly researching the whole hereditarian thing either, but presumably institutions are going to also play a role in determining those national IQs, right? Like whether or not you have good educational institutions or not, whether or not your children are malnourished is gonna have effects too and everything. I haven't read much about this, mostly because it probably is not going to go anywhere realistically. I don't know. We'll see, but not all this stuff is bad or anything. Like, it's mostly like an okay thing, but like no okay thing has a chance of getting approved by both sides. Like Gaza would be de-radicalized, terror-free zone that does not pose a threat to his neighbor. It is like, well, that'd be great. Like literally no one, not literally no one. Almost no one doesn't want that, but the difficult thing is how the fuck do we get that to happen? Gaza will be redeveloped for the benefit of the people of Gaza who have suffered more than enough. Like that's obviously like good in principle. No one really disagrees with that. It's just again, so it's way too broad to know what the fuck that means. I also don't trust Trump to not sell fucking construction deals to, people within his cabinet and stuff. But, regardless. 3, if both sides agree to this proposal, the war will immediately end. Israeli forces will withdraw to the agreed upon line to prepare for a hostage release. During this time, all military operations, including aerial and artillery bombardment, will be suspended, and battle lines will remain frozen until conditions are met for the complete stage withdrawal. I mean, obviously, I kind of doubt Israel would actually accept this. Now, on paper, I think they said they accept it or whatever. Well, I mean, we'll get to it, but I don't think Israel will be fully committed to this, even if they accept it, because
they don't believe him, like, and they, rightfully, in my view, I guess, not that it makes it right to violate any agreement, don't believe that Hamas is committed to doing number one. We're gonna steal the question. Who is on the hook for reconstruction dollars? I don't know. I'm assuming it'd be. I'm assuming Trump would have private companies invest and try to get the Arab states to invest. I mean, realistically, I'm sure Israel and the U.S. would fund some of it too. Everyone around me thinks Nick Fuentes is now captured by Israel because he doesn't think they killed Charlie Kirk since he's the most anti-Semitic generation. Yeah. Everyone around you, really, Metro? Everyone around you? Who the fuck is around you? Trump might get that Nobel Peace Prize after all. Feel strong, man. Obviously, if it did, like, work out, technically, this would be something I'm sure would be Nobel Peace Prize worthy. Okay, so who knows? Maybe on the 1% chance, he gets it done, folks. We might have to give it to him. Or, you can just keep threatening tariffs on fucking Sweden until they give it to him. Or within 72 hours of Israel publicly accepting the agreement, all hostages, alive and deceased, will be returned. It's just like, no one has, like, do we seriously have any faith that this would happen? 5, once all hostages are released, Israel will release 250 life sentence prisoners plus 1,700 Gazans who were detained after October 7, 2023, including all women and children detained in that context. For every Israeli hostage who remains are released, Israel will release the remains of 15 deceased Gazans. Like, this is just immediately, like, it's just gonna almost certainly, even if both sides, like, accepted this, it would just immediately break down and become a shit show, and one of them would not release the required amount or whatever, and the other one would therefore stop other stuff. But 6, once all hostages are returned, Hamas members who commit to peaceful coexistence and to decommission their weapons will be given amnesty. Members of Hamas who wish to leave Gaza will be provided safe passage to receiving countries. 7, upon acceptance of this agreement, full aid will be immediately sent to the Gaza Strip. At minimum, aid quantities will be consistent with what was included in the January 19th, 2025 agreement regarding humanitarian aid, including rehabilitation of infrastructure, water, electricity, sewage, rehabilitation of hospitals, and bakeries, and entry necessary equipment to remove rubble and open roads. I don't trust that Israel would follow through, especially on the last one, because there's been a lot of controversy over the sort of dual use stuff that can enter the Gaza Strip that can be used to, legitimately build hospitals or whatever, but also be used to build rockets and tunnels and everything. So like that, I think that would just immediately turn into a shit show. 8, entry and distribution and aid in the Gaza Strip will proceed without interference from the two parties through the United Nations and its agencies and the Red Crescent, in addition to other international institutions not associated in any manner with either party. Opening the Rafah crossing in both directions will be subject to the same mechanism implemented under the January 19th, 2025 agreement. 9, Gaza will be governed under the temporary transitional governments of a technocratic, apolitical Palestinian committee responsible for delivering the day-to-day running of public services in municipalities for the people in Gaza. 98% of people want this, and there's a 2% chance it's going to happen. Like, probably less than 2% chance it's going to happen. Yeah, obviously, like, almost everyone wants this except, like, the insane like, Israel should just annex Gaza people and the, like, tanky, like, one Palestinian state people, but, it's just not gonna, it's almost certainly not gonna happen. The committee will be made up of qualified Palestinians and international experts. I don't know who the qualified Palestinians would be. Like, most of
I guess I'll keep it going here too, lol.
Thanks for the sub on Twitch, Dylan Thomas. I appreciate it. I think my alerts are just messed up and I don't know why. Let me try just refreshing them and then I'll see what exactly happens. Wait, are they... Where the hell even is the... Did I delete it? Because I don't see it in any of my scenes. I think I might have fucked it up. I updated OBS today, and I think I deleted like some scenes. I wonder if I accidentally somehow deleted the alerts thing too. Huh. That's not ideal. Yeah, I think I did. Uh-oh. I'll fix that in a second. I forgot what alerts I use for what. Oh no. Well, I wonder if I think I can actually. I think I can recover it, but it'd be a little annoying to do right now. So. When Trump heard about Gaza's trip and betting, he thought it was a Vegas trip, hence AI slop a few months back. Probably, dude. That's almost certainly the thought process in his mind. Dude, by the way, the med bed video AI shit, that is like people would have never forgiven Biden if he did anything close to that. So, you know, that's just kind of crazy, but you know, whatever, I guess. 10. A Trump economic development plan to rebuild Gaza and rebuild and energize Gaza will be created by convening a panel of experts who have helped birth some of the thriving modern miracle cities in the Middle East. Many thoughtful investment proposals and exciting development ideas have been crafted by well-meaning international groups. It will be considered to synthesize the security and governance frameworks to attract and facilitate the investments that will create jobs, opportunity, and hope for future Gaza. Like, it's vague. Like, it's like 90% of the stuff in this plan or whatever, it's like almost no one would think that this is like bad in principle, but it's just like vague and not meaningful and like probably not realistic. 11. A special economic zone will establish preferred tariff and access rates to be negotiated with participating countries. Let's go. Well, no one will be forced to leave Gaza, and those who wish to leave will be free to do so and free to return. We encourage people to stay and offer them the opportunity to build a better Gaza. 13. Hamas and other factions agree not to have any role in the governance of Gaza, directly, indirectly, or in any form. All military, terror, and offensive infrastructure, including tunnels and weapon production facilities, will be destroyed and not rebuilt. There will be a process of demilitarization of Gaza under the supervision of independent monitors, which will include placing weapons permanently beyond use through an agreed-upon use decommissioning supported by an internationally funded buyback reintegration program, all verified by the independent monitors. New Gaza will be fully committed to building a prosperous economy and peaceful coexistence with your neighbor. Like, no one, like, you're just not going to be able to get this done. Like, you're not going to get the full demilitarization of Gaza. Trump finally did something not evil. Well, I mean, it's not evil. It's just not realistic. 14. A guarantee will be provided by regional partners to ensure that Hamas and their factions comply with their obligations and that the new Gaza poses no threat to its neighbors or people. Like, wow. 15. The United States will work with Arab international partners to develop a temporary international stabilization force. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Okay. We don't need to read all 20 points. All of the all 20 points. But Israel will not occupy or annex Gaza. ISF will establish control and stability. IDF will withdraw based on standards, milestones, and time frames. Like, in the event Hamas delays or rejects the proposal of the above, including the scaled-up aid operation, will proceed in the terror-free areas handed over to the IDF to the ISF. 18. An interfaith dialogue process will be established based on the values of tolerance and peaceful coexistence. Like, dog. I was Jewish from October 7th, 2023 to January 20th, 2025. Hey, so was I. Weren't we all? Well, Gaza redevelopment advances, and when the PA reform program is faithfully carried out, the conditions may finally be in place for a credible pathway to Palestinian self-determination and statehood. Like, I don't trust Israel would let this happen. Or there's certainly not, most factions in Israel, and also, like, what would it's difficult to know what statehood would look like if you're also calling for the total demilitarization of Gaza. Like, not to say like it's impossible, but what does statehood mean exactly? That they can't have a military, they can't have, or they're gonna have. I mean, the ISF presumably, I guess, if they got a statehood, would withdraw, but like, the United States will establish a dialogue between Israel and the Palestinians to agree on political horizon for peaceful and prosperous coexistence. Like, it's obviously not a evil plan or anything, but nothing is gonna. I mean, it's less specific than the more specific plans in the past that have all failed as well. So, and it's very, very ambitious with the total demilitarization of everything. Will we ever get Trump Gaza? Probably not. And if we did, it wouldn't be the 21-point plan, whatever bullshit. You'd probably only get it insofar as Israel, like, literally just occupies Gaza and lets Trump do some bullshit, special economic zone within it or something. Like, leaders of 7 Arab and Muslim countries that attended a summit expressed support for Trump's plan. I think technically Israel in favor, so they agree to it. It's generally aware of the U.S. principles and is confident that Ron, whoever, helpless question, blah, 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 blah. But, like, I don't think there's. I don't think there's any way Israel would actually fully commit to have the shit in a plan, especially. And part of that is maybe somewhat. I don't want to say justify, but somewhat like understandable considering there's no way Hamas and the other militant groups, because it didn't even just say it. Like, obviously Hamas is, to whatever extent any type of governance still exists in Gaza, like the ruling authority in Gaza, but there's other, like, obviously the, like, Palestinian Jihad as well. Like, they're gonna have to agree to it too, and or just be like almost totally destroyed. Do you condemn Hamas? Believe it or not, folks, a non-fun stream, we do. Is there bed signing bonus? I'm over 21. But is the I don't know. Is any of the med shit real at all? Like, it is like a real, like, startup or whatever, right? But isn't it a this is what I'm. Isn't I thought it was a real. Maybe I fell for the QAnon lie. I thought there was at least like a real thing. It's QAnon? No, it is just like a QAnon thing. That's awesome. That's even awesomer. Okay, let's go. I'm betting those of us invested in Trump coin on the ground floor are getting first in line. Oh, let's hope so. No, I think it is just okay. That's awesome. Okay, hold on. Let me try to fix the alerts real quick. It should like save my settings and everything. I think I just have to copy the. alert thing. Actually, I feel like I had it saved. In my thing. I thought I sent the message, but did you see the video posted with AI Schumer? I haven't. If you sent the link, YouTube chat doesn't like the YouTube chat does not like links. Um. Huh. I feel like I think I have the exact thing I was using like written down somewhere. I have it. This is the Gen Z in me, maybe. I don't know. A lot of like I just have like a Discord group with like literally only me in it, and like I just send stuff in there to save it sometimes or whatever. Or like if I need something on my phone, I'll like literally just like send it in a Discord group chat on my computer and like download it from my phone or whatever. And I'm pretty sure I have somewhere in there the links to what I need, but I don't think the Discord search thing is not being my friend. Millennials email to do that, LMAO. Yeah, it's faster than email though. Like I know. You can just email yourself stuff, and I know I've seen people do that before, but I just have my Discord group chat with only me in it. On what day? I remember when I did the IRL stream with Isaac, I believe I had to do it so I could get my stuff on my phone. If I find the date, July 17th. So if I do during July 17th. That's not what I wanted. Oh, you know what? I bet it's not in my Discord group chat. I bet I just sent it to Isaac. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Bot Rex alerts. Boom. Plus. What do you think will happen to the Zog sentiment if we put boots on the ground in Gaza? I highly doubt we're gonna have like actual boots on the ground in Gaza. We might have like boots on the ground in the sense that like we have people like facilitating aid, or we just have people operating like a missile defense thing or whatever, like we have had before, or we just have like people doing like similar things like that. But I really don't think we would ever have boots on the ground in Gaza. If we did, like people would I mean, the issue is the Zog people don't need that to do the Zog shit. I mean, I think they would just like, it's totally like expected for them. Like, wouldn't they? Aren't they all like? They're probably all predicting that anyway, right? Like, that's why there's so many like "I'm not dying for Israel" memes or whatever. So I don't think it'd be like particularly like supercharging for them or anything. Okay. Oh, the shadow isn't on it. Filter shadow. Don't remember what the settings were. The moment someone dies in Gaza for Israel, I think we'll have national backlash. I don't know. I don't know if people we've had people die in Syria, or just people get injured. I don't know if that's, well, Israel's definitely more salient, I guess, to begin with. Hold on. Okay, something like that's good enough. Okay. Copy filters. Paste filters. We need anyone to come to Congress so we can give him a standing ovation on both sides of the aisle. Can't wait. Dude, he's probably, I mean, he's almost certainly going to come again during Trump's presidency, right? I would imagine.
This is
Okay.
a test donation for $76.
Oh my god, Kevin, $76. Thanks so much. Pretty sure all that stuff should be working now. Remember when Trump kept calling Schumer a Palestinian? Wild times we live in. Dude, he called Biden a Palestinian. Oh, it's so over. Yeah, I know. Dude, well, at least we have. Did you see the video of the I saw people conspiracy posting about this on Twitter. It was really funny to me. The CIA director, when Trump said we're gonna give more weapons to Ukraine. I feel spiritually Palestinian because I've been a loser my whole life.
Are you planning to send more weapons to Ukraine?
We're going to send some more weapons. We have to. They have to be able to defend themselves. They're getting hit very hard now. They're getting hit very hard. We're going to have to send more weapons. Your defensive weapons, primarily, but they're getting hit very, very hard.
He's just like, who is this? It's just it's John Ratcliffe. It's the CIA director, right? Yeah. He's just
Ukraine?
More weapons. We have to. They have to.
Yeah, I saw that. Like, what? Yeah, I know. It's like, it's like, why are we conspiracy posting about this? LOE is so bad. I know. He's just like, well, I mean, in this, he gets a brief moment of relief. Okay. before the next day, and Trump says, actually, we're not going to give Ukraine anything again. We'll see. But he's like, yeah. Dude, 27K likes too. Oh my God, kill me. Oh my God, worst timeline. Hold on, I'm just trying to make sure that shit works. Pretty sure all the alerts should be fine and shit, but we'll see. I do have to. Group selected items. Alerts. Copy. Paste. Paste. Actually, not this one. Paste. 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 Okay. John Brooke debated James Galbraith. What the fuck? Watch that. Was that recent? I don't know who James, or I feel like I've heard of him. Seven years ago. It's on your notes, Law. Oh, I think I just. Yeah, no, I think it's from forever ago. I don't know why. I don't know when this originally got here. I think I put it in here for one of the subathons or whatever, just to have something. Did BBB kill all Obamacare subsidies? I don't think it killed all of them. I just think it didn't extend some of the. I think it didn't extend a lot of the COVID era ones or whatever. Oh, never mind. I thought that was recent. No, yeah, it's forever ago. And I think it did repeal some of them, or what? It might not. I don't know if it repealed the Obamacare ones, or if it just got rid of the subsequent extensions of some of the Obamacare things. Where's there? There's a KFF thing somewhere. Might be this or this. Yeah, exploration of enhanced ACA. And then the rest of it, I think, are it's just like work requirements and stuff. I don't think it repeals Obamacare era subsidies. I think it just repeals some of the, or it doesn't extend some of the expansions. As for clients savor the Dems or deep state chill, the deep state chills are the saviors of the Dems. What do you mean, bro? I don't think Ezra Klein's that much of a deep state chill. Yeah, it's this is American Rescue Plan Inflation Reduction Act stuff. But it doesn't. repayment of excess tax credits. Enrollees whose income are different than what they originally estimated must reconcile the amount of tax credit they received with the amount they are determined to be eligible for at the time they filed their taxes following year. The provision would eliminate repayment caps for excess tax credit received. I don't know if this is in the original Obamacare thing. Appropriating cost sharing reduction funding. The bill would reinstate government funding for CSRs, effectively ending silver loading. Funding is prohibited. See, I don't know if this is, again, in the Obamacare thing. Do you still think a public option is optional? I don't know what I don't know. It depends how you interpret public option. I mean, I think I've said basically, I think probably the ideal would be some type of government negotiated plan that like private insurers would bid for, essentially. I don't know if the government would be the direct provider of health insurance for people. I don't think most people would count that as a public option, but it might involve some whatever. Isn't that a community host plan? Yeah, it's the one I don't think he's the one that came up with it, but it's the one that he proposed or whatever, or mentioned in his Substack post. I guess technically, I mean, it does shorten the enrollment period, and what are these few other things? $5 monthly charge. You know, I guess technically these are not really cuts, but sounds like a union without the workers. Not really at all. I don't know what you mean by that. I don't think this goes as in details, whatever stuff, but. I don't remember where I saw this graph, but I think if you look at the graph of like the uninsured population or the percentage of population enrolled in Medicaid of the Big Beautiful Bill versus without the Big Beautiful Bill, like it is a meaningful difference, but it's also like not substantially different than if none of the COVID expansion stuff had just never been passed. Government acting as a negotiator for individuals against private entities. When unions aren't, I mean, obviously the government grants protections to unions, but this is it. I think so. To itself, the issue with unions is government involvement, right? I mean, that's not like technically the only. I mean, technically, you could have like the biggest issue is that the government the fact that the government grants artificial protections to unions means that unions essentially, have more leverage to, well, do a number of things, to negotiate, which is the mechanism by which they can harm a bunch of other workers and also obviously harm the owners of the company as well. Technically, I mean, you could have that, even without a ton of government intervention, but I don't think that government intervention is always bad or anything. Do you think the incentives that are different here? I don't think that the government is, yeah, I think there's a meaningful difference between, first of all, the government is not the one with the incentives in the union case, right? Like, it's granting artificial protections to workers trying to negotiate, right? But the government doesn't have any, like, super big incentive there on its own. Seems like an easy Galbraith victory. Like, responding to that. But no, I don't think, I don't think the government has any type of perverse. The reason that intervention is bad, it's not even because the government's incentives are bad there. It's because the artificial protection means that when the workers of a union act in their own interest, they end up harming a bunch of other people. Sure, that's not exactly the same, but I mean, yeah, I don't think there's any. Well, I mean, I don't think there's. I don't think they're similar enough to say that they'd be harmful in the same way at all. This is the fucking Medbed stuff. I thought there was at least something real with the Medbed thing. I'm just thinking ideas here. Ideas here. I don't know, even know if I hate unions anymore. Evil. Listen, unions they're evil. Just asking questions. But like I've said, I don't hate unions unless they're in, transportation industries or like trade industries. Okay, the railroad union. Okay, the longshoremen unions. Okay, those are worthy of hate. The rest of them probably aren't as worthy of hate, but suboptimal in many cases. Man, I can't believe I thought there was at least. I thought there was like a legitimate Medbed like startup thing or whatever, but nope, it is just an entire whole ass conspiracy. New Wordle. Guys, I gotta do New Wordle. Anyway, this is a good video. I don't know if I'll play the whole thing, but quick thoughts. My goat. Okay. Despite the New York Times having a bad graph, okay, the soy farmers are struggling out there, okay. I may hate most farmers, but the soy farmers, they're right, okay, and they got to deal with the reduction in exports to China because of the tariffs. Was it the government negotiating is suboptimal in most cases? I agree. I just think that, are you a fan of China? I want to say I'm a fan of them. I don't know what fan. I don't know exactly what fan means. I don't. I'm not a fan of China. I don't think I would brand myself as a fan of the U.S. either, to be fair. But certainly, more of a fan of the U.S. than I am China, I guess, if you want to view it that way. How they run their country? I mean, I think they. I wonder if Bob Marley's here. Obviously, they like do some things right, and now it's kind of hard. So, for example, one of the things they do that's interesting, is obviously like their localities to some extent compete with each other, right? Like the mayors of cities, who are not always democratically elected. I think they do have some like local elections for like very local elections for some things, although you'd have to be approved by the, party to run essentially. Are able to compete with each other. They're able to do their own startups essentially with like state funding. That's why China has a large number of like EV companies, is because there's a bunch of like localities making their own like to some extent state supported EV companies that are like competing with each other, and like that can have good outcomes. It's hard to weigh things like that with the sort of democracy that we value more in the U.S. But like I would say, holistically, no. But there are things that China does well, certainly. Are you so excited about China that you hang from the ceiling and spin in circles. Absolutely, absolutely. That's how big. Yeah, that's exactly how big of a fan I am. Nice one.
Times is misleading. I might be wrong. I am kind of wrong, maybe. Let me try to explain. I still think this graph is bad or wrong, and so I'm correct to criticize the graph. The graph is showing outstanding orders of soybeans, meaning orders that have sold and not yet shipped, and it's natural for that to decline to zero. So I think the New York Times is wrong to use that as the plot in the graph. And likewise, they are wrong not to show you that outstanding sales always kind of follows that pattern. As I continue to look at this data and graph it, the New York Times is right about gross new sales to China of soybeans being substantially reduced, basically zero. Not quite zero, but close to zero. I think this is a clearer way to look at the data than either I showed in my previous video or is shown in the New York Times article. So one, we're using gross new sales instead of outstanding sales like the New York Times, and two, we're comparing to the trend in previous years. Now, the data only goes up to September 18, so it's technically possible that a ton of orders might come in the last couple weeks, but we're not on trend to match the same gross new sales to China for soybeans as in previous years. You can also look at the same data, gross new sales of soybeans, but global, like all countries, not just China specifically. And there, I think, we see kind of a similar pattern for the first couple months to prior years. And September, like I said, we only have data up to the 18th. So I think we're already kind of matching 2023.
I don't know any more
I think
words.
it's technically possible. I don't know what the likelihood is, but it's technically possible the last couple weeks are going to be big for September. And so then maybe we would catch up on a global scale.
Kidding me?
So was I wrong about this? Well, my criticisms of the article, I think, are completely right. They are graphing what I think is the wrong thing, outstanding sales rather than new sales. And their graph doesn't show you the multi-year history, so you don't know that this is actually a normal pattern for outstanding sales. But in spirit, maybe I was wrong. That is, I'm saying New York Times is misleading. New York Times is saying soybean sales are now zero. And so if you just watch my video, you might come away thinking New York Times is wrong, soybean sales are fine. And that's the wrong essence to take away. Soybean sales to China.
They'll never be zero because I will always buy them. I mean, they're talking about exports to other countries. Obviously, domestically, they're not going to be zero.
China,
but
this is kind of at zero, but at the same time,
China,
it's kind of at zero these months anyway. But we should be expecting it to start to rise a lot. We should be expecting to sell soybeans now, and we're not seeing that. So I don't know. So I don't want people to take away the message that soybean sales are fine, which I don't think I said. But I don't want that to be the spirit of the message from my previous video. Soybean sales, especially to China, are not fine, and it's possible that'll change in a few weeks or months. I suppose we'll see. I don't know about that, but yeah, was I wrong? Let me know in the comments. You decide. Thanks for your time.
wow. The MIT article, I mean, it does use the background or whatever, but it does go into the, what's funny? Even the fucking photo that one dude took of Pete Hegseth's phone or whatever, talking about China buying soybeans from Argentina. Oh my God, these people. Oh my God. Oh my God. Monday, Trump administration pledged to support Argentina to face economic turmoil. The same day, Argentina suspended its tax on exports of a number of key crops, including soybeans. Earlier thereafter, Chinese companies bought more than 1 million tons of Argentine soybeans, according to Reuters, increasing the nation's ability to hold out from buying the crop from America. The real worry, though, is what's to come. Soybean prices have subdued, trading at around $10 a bushel for much of the past 10 years, down from 13 at the start of 2024. Listen, Trump is the vegan president that we need. Okay, finally, we're gonna have cheap tofu. I thought tofu was ever that expensive to begin with, but cheaper tofu. People are gonna stop eating beef. Okay, we rate the. I don't know if the price of beef is still high. I know Gibbs really likes to talk about the price of beef going up supposedly because of Trump. Okay, so I definitely trust Gibbs. All right, we make the price of beef super high. We make the price of soybeans super low. All right, finally, the vegan president we need. I have one last guess in Wordle. I literally don't know. I have 3 green letters. I literally don't know a word that it could be. Unless it's... There's no way. Oh my God. That's one letter off at the very end. Politicians from pig farming states like Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa, an influential member of the Senate Committee on Agriculture, Nutrition, and Forestry, have highlighted the harm to farmers from the trade dispute with China and called for negotiations to reach a deal. Trump administration has noticed we care very much about the fact that China stopped buying agricultural products. Kevin Hassett, the director of the White House National Security Economic Council, said on Fox News Business Network on Thursday. It's so over. God, I hate farmers. God, I hate farmers. Half these farmers, probably more than half, honestly, fucking voted for these tariffs in the first place, bro. Wonder if there was anything that could have predicted the negative impact of tariff on agriculture. If only we knew the effects between 2018 and 2020. Yeah, if only the exact same thing happened last time. And also, if we, my understanding, maybe I should do more reading or just so when it comes off, I have notes on it. The deal we signed with China with regards to them buying our exports in Trump's first term, China did like practically just did not adhere to that deal. Like they straight up just did not buy a lot of the shit they promised to buy. When did Trump get any deal? Whatever. China 20, I think it was 2019 trade deal. Means all the new stuff. China did not meet its overall purchase targets, leading to the deal's expiration in 2021. What, you mean China didn't follow their agreements? Consider me shocked. Shocked, I say. Yeah, I know. But it's just like, it's just a thing of tweets. Let's go. It's like, you know, I bet this time for sure, though. U.S. officials on Monday called for concrete action from China to fulfill its purchase commitments amid reports Washington is losing patience with its counterpart. Oh shit, thanks for the sub, Bones, Doom. I appreciate it.
Subbing
Hell
for more
yeah.
memes.
I appreciate it, Bones. Wait, I'm looking at the shadow now. Looks a little weird. I feel like it did not look like that when I did it. Oh. Hold on. There we go, something like that. PPG keeps stuck in these F-35 debate. Yeah, I've seen you talking to him in my server about that. I don't know. Did he actually think that, like, AI photo of the giant F-35 was real? Wouldn't, like, surprise me if he did, but yes. That wasn't even, like, recently. That was like an old, he's on screen right now. That was like a relatively old thing. That was like a few months ago. Wasn't it? That photo came out. That was in June, yeah. Some of the issues likely stem from the power battle as they try to replace G without upsetting the system that keeps the Prince Lincoln power. I mean, I don't think what are the issues here? You know, I don't think any, I don't know if any sort of faction in China would have adhered to the deal to buy more soybeans. I just don't think that's a big deal for them. I think they just didn't care, quite frankly. I didn't see any negative effects happening from it. Basic way is that it's disproportionately big compared to people. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like insanely big. People being as large as the building, or the fact that Israel markings weren't correct in Iran's photo. I mean, it's like just it doesn't even make sense for it, like you can just look at like everyone has seen like a video of like a fighter, or even in a fucking movie, people in a fighter jet, or people in, or like someone in a cockpit of a fighter jet. And like, it's not some giant, it's not some giant thing. It's like there's barely room for a person in there. Oh, I got free cheap viewers on Streamboo. Maybe we're agreeing. I'm saying that they have bigger fish to fry at the moment. Yeah. Everyone has seen Israeli F-35 except for Iranians, indeed. Let's go. Stealth fighters are designed to have a small RCA. Yeah, well, yeah. Like, it doesn't, like there's no video, like, what video of a fighter pilot have you seen where, like, a large amount of people could fit in the cockpit, you know, where the glass, or, like, the glass covering is, like, what are we doing? Like, I think you can probably literally see, like, you can see in these photos, like, the dude in the cockpit, and it's like, there's room for him and the fucking seat and not much else. But yeah, I guess we have to keep the soybeans happy. Airplane design was only my major. Can't wait for Gen 6 Potbellies. Let's fucking go. Anyways, thanks for letting me derail the stream. You're good, Bones. Don't worry. There's not much of a rail on this stream. I didn't have a solid plan or anything. I just had a bunch of tabs open. I had one last soy meme. Okay. I had so much soy today. I was soying out so hard. This was a banger tweet. I had my soybeans drenched in soy sauce with soy milk while I was watching the soy fill. It was so goated. I got soy milk just for that. I don't actually like soy milk that much. Soy milk is like it's like the worst alternative milk I've had. Like, it's not bad, but it's not. I don't think soy milk is very good. It's like it's fatiguing. I can't even have. I feel like I can't even have like a full glass of it without like getting the. It has like a weird persistent like aftertaste, and it gets more noticeable as you drink more of it. In my experience. Which is worse, not from being a fan of soy pill or being a Markiplier fan? Or sorry, soy products to be. I'm not even a Markiplier fan. Not that I don't dislike Markiplier or anything, but I don't keep up with Markiplier at all. I didn't even watch Markiplier that much as a kid. I watched PewDiePie. I would watch PewDiePie. Isn't that merch related to Markiplier though? Oh, the Unis Honest? I guess I did watch Unis Honest. It was him and Ethan, yeah. I don't consider myself a Markiplier fan just because I watched the Unis Honest thing. But yeah, I did like Unis Honest when that was going on. Hold on, this one has the Unis Honest. You can't go upside down, but. When are you doing a Nuzlocke? Like a Pokemon Nuzlocke? I've never even like beat a Pokemon game to begin with. I've played a few different Pokemons, but I've never gotten like that far. Like I used to play Pokemon Red on my calculator in school. And then like at various times I've like used the 3DS emulator to play a little bit of like Pokemon Sun and Moon or whatever bullshit, but I've never like gotten far or anything. I'm not a Pokemon anti-fan or anything, but I'm not a particularly big Pokemon fan. I guess I played Pokemon Go. Anyway, I mean, I think this mentions the same thing as before, that the H1B like a wage level thing, because it's based on wage levels and not the actual wage amount, is actually going to benefit probably the lower wage like outsourcing companies more than like the big tech companies. Because the wage level is based on like relative seniority, and not the actual wage rate. So like a student who just got their degree or whatever and would be making $200,000 a year as a tech worker might be like a wage level 1, because by definition they're at like the very start of their career, right? So that because wage levels are based on the sort of relative pay based on seniority, like they'd be wage level 1. But like an outsourcing company which just hires H1B visa people or like big evil tech companies to fucking exploit or whatever, they can be, they hire a lot more wage level 2, wage level 3 workers. More than a decade, critics of America's immigration system have noted how easy it is to game the flagship high-skilled immigration program, the H-1B. Critics from across the spectrum say the H-1B lottery system makes it hard for normal businesses to plan ahead, that employers don't actually have to pay above average wages, and that a disproportionate number of visas get snapped up by outsourcing firms that spam the lottery's multiple entries. The Americans have to compete with the world. I don't know. It's not even like, what does that mean? That's like almost totally meaningless to me, Metro. In some sense, you're just always going to be competing with the world. And in some sense, it's not even good to view it as competition, because most trade is just mutually beneficial. Like, and that, even not even just trade, but even like immigration is in many cases just mutually beneficial. So it's wage level 1 people with negative or labor value? No. Wage level 1, again, it's not based on, this article, I think, go over it again, but it's not based on how much you actually get paid. You can get paid a fuck ton and still be wage level 1. It's based on like the relative, like your pay, like relative to, I forget the exact way it works, whatever, but it's based on your seniority, basically. It's based on your pay and it's based on your seniority. So someone just starting their career, even if they get paid a fuck ton, can still be wage level 1 if they are just starting their career. The critics are right. On paper, H-1B visas are meant to attract the world's best and brightest. In practice, many go to outsourcing firms importing workers with only middling skills. Last week, Trump administration announced major upcoming changes to H-1B, a $100,000 fee for new petitions, and a new prioritization scheme for Department of Homeland Security for allocating lottery slots to higher skilled talent. On paper, this reform seemed to fix the problem H-1B critics have identified. In reality, they don't. A loophole in a $100,000 fee combined with, it's not a loop. Is it even really a loophole? It's not a loophole. It's probably just meant to give Trump leverage over companies. Come on, if a poorly designed lottery update will make the system worse, the changes will barely raise the skill level of recipients, give outsourcers an advantage, and make it harder to hold on the top graduates from these universities. Administration is right to want tougher standards for H-1B use, but it can outsourcing firms and reserve visas for the most skilled immigrants and must rethink the details. Start with the $100,000 fee, which is more bark than bite. In theory, raising the cost of visas should discourage employers from using H-1B for lower skilled work, but if he is a massive loophole under current law, workers in the U.S. on another visa can simply change to H-1B to avoid $100,000 payment. 80% of people H-1B lottery fall into this category, usually being here on student visas. Once employers have an incentive to get people here first on another visa, that number will rise, obviously. Yeah. Moreover, many of the outsourcers that regularly abuse H-1B lottery, firms like Info, Assist, Cognizant, Tech, Mahindra, Wipro, and Tata, are multinationals with access to L visas, which can be used to transfer workers from a foreign office to an American one. Right now, those companies simply bring people to the U.S. on Ls and then transition them onto H-1Bs, avoiding the fee. If the fee won't apply to the vast majority of workers for H-1B slots, it won't meaningfully deter system abuse. The other major change is to the lottery itself. H-1B lottery itself. In a typical year, businesses file more than 300,000 applicants for 85,000 visas available, which the government distributes at random. The new rule would weight that lottery by wage levels, a pre-existing Department of Labor categorization system meant to reflect seniority within a given occupation. In the system, a job requiring decades of experience is classified as wage level 4, while an entry-level position falls under wage level 1. Workers paid at wage level 4 get 4 chances in the lottery, 3 chances, and so on. In theory, the administration argues this should raise the average experience of H-1B recipients. Like, yeah. Wage levels aren't the same as actual wages. The Labor Department defines them relative to others in the same occupation. So the rule doesn't favor high skilled jobs, only more experienced workers within a given field. That means an experienced acupuncturist earning $40,000 will be prioritized over a newly minted PhD AI scientist with a $280,000 offer. Like, yeah, it goes right here. What the new rule does, in effect, is add a veneer of rigor to the existing system, while preserving advantages for outsourcers and other importers of low-skilled labor. By focusing only on hierarchy within an occupation, it shifts visas towards fields with large pools of mid-career foreign-born candidates like IT, rather than towards jobs that demand greater skill. Thoughts on BRICS? Do you think it's a real threat? I don't think it's that meaningful of a threat. I don't think it's done very much to make me view it that way. And I think, like, even if they got their own currency or whatever, which to some extent they have their own currency pool, whatever shit they do. Like, I don't think it'd be that meaningful still. The only substantial achievement of the BRIC economies has been a pooling of $100 billion to foreign currency reserves. That is the foundation of a new development bank, which has provided $33 billion for water, transportation, and other infrastructure over the past decade. Like, I don't think it's, I don't even think it would be that meaningful. If the U.S. dollar lost some of its share as the not even just the reserve currency, but of the foreign assets held. There's a better term there I'm looking for. I don't know what it is. Strange it may sound, outsourcers would get more visas under the new rules. These firms flood the H-1B lottery for registrations instead of recruiting top talent, then farm out the visas. They win to other companies on contract. The workers they supply are not likely to be high value and tend to be paid far less than other H-1B workers. Nonetheless, under the Department of Labor's definition, the outsourcers applicants qualify in higher wage levels because their workers are older and further into their careers. everything paper. We calculated that under the proposed rule, the large outsourcers would get 8% more. They won't be slots than they currently do. Wow, I think that's actually probably the thing that we read. Yeah. By the way, is easy money here? You would like this. The Daniel D. Martino guy who writes a lot about immigration is going to Liberty University, which is not that far away from me. It's actually where the On Fucking America tour would have been if, stuff had not happened. But technically, I could go to that, but I don't think it'd be worth it. Like, it's just him speaking for an hour, and I think technically there's a audience Q&A at the end, but it would not be anywhere near worth it. Didn't he say you were going to talk to him? I might, which is another, he's a relatively reasonable person. So, he replied to my DM and stuff, and we chatted a bit, so I don't think it'd be worth it, but it is. I'm sure Easy Money would want me to go if he was here. It'd be like, be like 6 hours of driving for 2 hours of being there or whatever. Like the Unfucking America tour had that, that would have been an all day thing or whatever, but this would not have been that at all. Are you Hamas? I am indeed. And I have nothing planned for tomorrow. Technically, wasn't at least some of the start of the attack on October 6th in Israel? Because October 6th was the anniversary of the Yom Kippur War, right? Do you free Palestine? I will. I think yeah, October 6th was the anniversary or whatever. But I don't know. I thought it was I feel like I've heard Prince of Hero or something say it was on the 6th or whatever. I thought it was on, or maybe he was just talking about on that anniversary. I've heard people say that. But I guess I don't. It's not. I made that up. I'm lying. Oh, I got a PLB. Back in a second. Let me pull up some bullshit. Gotta turn in idol. I appreciate you stopping by, Michael. I'll see you tomorrow/later today, hopefully. Watch the cute rabbits eating compilation. Incredible. I don't know wireless headphones anymore. Well, I still have them, but I haven't been using them. I got new non-wireless headphones. I actually can't. I gotta take them off when I leave now. Unbelievable. Bruh, my chair, my wire. Oh no. I haven't used wired headphones in forever. Miserable. Horrible. If you're interested, or sorry, if you're interested, I can set you up with this arranged marriage program. I don't think I need that. I think I'm not that interested, buddy. Oh my god. I've seen this bunny before on Instagram Reels. Anyway, we got more. I haven't read this whole exchange yet. It's like super lying. I don't know if I'll read the whole fucking thing or whatever. Michael Pettis trade slop so much, or as always, there's so much of it out there. If you don't want an Indian H1B bride and you lump of in a 50K lump sum, that's on you. I mean, I don't know. That was the offering. See, that I could be down for. Okay. I don't know if you should marry an H1B person. They already have a visa. You should marry someone about to be deported. Okay. You should marry whoever giving the marriage visa to has the highest marginal value to. It's probably not H1B workers. It's probably someone else. You will, of course, have a moral duty to marry an immigrant, obviously. But H1Bs are, they're relatively well-off immigrants. So the marginal benefit's lower. It's like, I don't even know where to... There's so much slop. Oh my god, this goes all the way back to the whatever Newtonian mathematics thing. Are you kidding me? Modern economics is flawed, primarily because it contents itself with unrealistic assumptions, regular human behavior that are meant to be placeholders but persistent even in the most advanced of models. No math can fix that. Like saying a mechanical model that disregards friction is useless. Still waiting for the Mooncake Hot E-Day. I mean, I've talked to Mooncake like 2 or 3 times on stream. We talked to her in a subathon. I talked to her on Shen's stream a little bit ago. Like, we sort of teach how potential energy becomes kinetic energy. The fact that a theory simplifies a complex world, so we cannot focus on a particular causal mechanism is a feature, not a bug. Not true when it comes to trade, for example. Of course, as an example. The problem is that not that the assumptions are simplifications, but that they are actually wrong. Mainly because most models assume balanced trade. That's not, that is a simplification. That's not, it's just as wrong as saying assuming no air resistance or whatever. But like, obviously, like most models, like assume balanced trade as a simplification, but they still like hold true, whatever. Like I know there's a paper, and I'm sure there's plenty of papers replicating this on a million different things. Like for example, like the linear symmetry theorem. I've seen this paper before, which I think says like the original linear symmetry thing. There will be spaghetti. What? We need a formal e-date where you dress up and spit some game. I don't think I don't think that's. I mean, I don't see the need to do that. This paper, like the linear symmetry thing, originally was obviously a balanced trade. We write a number of generalizations, qualifications, among other things. We show the absence of trade deficits is neither necessary nor sufficient for linear symmetry to hold. Like, there's a million different things like that. That's why in any discussion on unbalanced trade, the model always proves that the best option is to do nothing. That's also not, even with balanced trade, you can still have optimal tariffs or whatever, but. So limiting simplifying assumptions is obviously ridiculous. People move to this distinction between simplifying assumptions and wrong assumptions. But that begs the whole question. Is zero friction a simplifying assumption or a wrong assumption? It's clearly as wrong as well. Not true. Noah Smith agreed with your having called my Financial Timepiece nonsense, and I challenged him. Every response to his began with the assumption that trade is balanced. Like most mainstream academic economists in the U.S. anyway, he cannot understand trade except in terms of trade models that are almost wholly irrelevant. The idea that a model that assumes balanced trade can tell us much about the cost of the U.S. trade position is not just simple, it's silly. What's even sillier is the assumption by economists that the rest of us don't understand your model. Oh no, it's misreplied true. This is incorrect. Nowhere did I assume trade is balanced. Always did. And I always do assume trade is not balanced. I gave two counterexamples of my argument. The first involved balanced trade in the same period. The second involved. Is he just talking about. I'm not going to be able to find this. I'm pretty sure. What he's talking about was Noah Smith just gave like conceptual examples about why like consumer welfare can increase even if from trade, even if production doesn't. I'm not gonna be able to find this, but like I think he just gave an example about like two countries trading in apple and oranges, and even if you assume that production doesn't decrease or whatever, because consumers value variety, there can still be gains from trade. But I don't think I'm not gonna be able to like find this ever. Oh yeah, there it is. You say directed exports in a passage above. Simple example shows us, suppose I produce and consume 2 oranges and you produce and consume 2 apples. Now we open a trade. I still produce 2 oranges and you still produce 2 apples, but I now trade you 1 apple for 1 orange. We each now consume 1 apple and 1 orange, and people have a taste for variety in fruit. This trade is well for enhancing despite zero expansion in domestic production. Oh, and he immediately goes to the deficit thing or whatever. It's not dishonest for me to state facts. Your statement as written in passage above is simply false. Arguments about unbalanced trade are additional arguments unrelated to any point or to the text as written. Yeah, I think he's just talking about this. As we're being past each other, there are 2 questions. Can a model with balanced trade trust about the pros and cons of trade in pros and cons of a trade policy in a world of unbalanced trade? Can a model of unbalanced trade tell us the pros and cons of balancing trade via some policy? You can clearly learn a lot about policy, and completely as always, through a model of balanced trade. We're speaking like an academic for whom the purpose of models is to get published and not to describe the world. Is he? Not only do you not understand how incentives affect behavior, but you assume, yeah, that's true. The price theory guy doesn't understand that one. But you assume that as long as an abstract and very unrealistic model is internally consistent, it can give you a simple answer to a set of very complex issues regardless of the underlying conditions. Worrying that you are generally puzzled by the fact that people involved in business, finance, investing, or policy making, i.e. people involved in the real economy, increasingly find academic economists to be irrelevant. Kill me. I don't know. I don't know if this is the reason why. Flare.
I'm by done.
Wow, thanks, localist. I don't know how. First of all, I don't know how people in business and finance really how much they really rely on academic economists to begin with, but the policymakers, I feel like there's been a bigger reason why they've become academic economists have become increasingly really irrelevant. Just because the populist brain rot. Kill me. Were they ever that relevant, even? You like the young conservative kid, Readin, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Hollyhand, I think he's the voice of a generation and once in a generation talent. That's insane. Yeah, I know, I've seen him. I mean, I think, it's about time, I had a twink my age on the right to face off again. No, I mean, I've not seen anything from him other than him being a twink on a private jet. That's really all I've seen. I don't know. I mean, I bet he holds insane positions, but I haven't seen him express that much. But it perfectly embodies Krugman's accidental theorist. Someone who thinks they're describing reality while doing theory badly with hidden assumptions. Everyone has a model. The question is whether you're transparent about yours. It is such a wonderful essay. He's a Mossad plant. True. I mean, I bet he is pro-Israel or whatever, but I don't even know if he... I think, like, the only thing he's done is, like, 1 or 2 speeches at a college. I remember his YouTube channel doesn't have much on it from what I saw. Like, where is a single 99% sure he's AI? Could be. He's definitely not AI. They would not make him that much of a twink if he was AI. Make him, like, buff or whatever. Like, where's, like, a single... Nice one. It's like a single video clip of him talking about like an actual issue and not just the Charlie Kirk assassin or like whatever, him reacting to Donald Trump talking about him or whatever. Like where is like, okay, we're kind of have something here. Him quote tweeting John Fetterman. He's replied and quote tweeted by big names for some reason. Sus. Well, it's because he's endorsed by Turning Point USA or whatever. I don't know if he if he's hired by them. I think he is. I don't know if he's TV appearances. Oh, this is his YouTube channel or whatever. This is a $30 book. Does he talk about policy in this book at all? "19-year-old with a totally not ghost-written book." I mean, technically, I'm sure it's... I guess this podcast would have a little bit of stuff. I'm sure he wrote at least some of it, don't worry. Okay. He's talking a little bit about actual issues here.
Since had
I think the last time he did was 9 months ago.
Officially re-entered the room. I'm Bronwyn Hollyhan, host of, you guessed it, the Bronwyn Hollyhan Show. Thank you so much for joining us again at 9 a.m. in my What's Up America newsletter. But right now, let's get into this week's episode of the Bronwyn Hollyhan Show.
It wasn't until July of
utter
Oh my
lack
god.
of respect
It's
for
the
the legal
actual
system
video, like
and the
4
precedent
minutes
it
long.
sets for the future is quite alarming. We all know Hunter Biden is guilty. Joe Biden even knows that. That's why he pardoned him.
Whoa.
But the most concerning part of this whole
Whoa.
thing isn't Hunter getting away with the gun, drug.
Yeah, be careful of that argument actually, because how many people did Trump pardon? And how many people wanted a pardon from Trump? Like John Eastman wanted to be added to the pardon list.
Prostitution
Like,
crimes. If that in the end, this was a pardon of Joe Biden just as much as it was one of Hunter. You see,
how long till we get the Trump self pardon?
when the pardon was released, it details that the period of clemency begins in 2014. What a coincidence, because that's when Hunter's illegal international business deals for the family began. This pardon wasn't to prevent scrutiny over Hunter's addict days, but instead to cover the family from prosecution for any negotiations he had in backrooms using his father's title. You see, Hunter worked with Joe Biden's brother to shake down businessmen of at least $20 million, maybe more. And then they split that money up amongst the family all the way down to the grandchildren. Yes, the Biden crime family cashed in from this. Now, remember when they impeached Donald Trump for investigating the same crimes that Joe Biden just pardoned Hunter for? Yeah, I do. And you should as well. Remember when they argued that decency was on the
That's where you have a very good understanding of Trump's first
the
impeachment.
Biden crime family cashed in from this. Now, remember when they impeached Donald Trump for investigating the same crimes that Joe Biden just pardoned Hunter for? Yeah.
For pressuring Zelensky to dig up dirt on Hunter Biden so he could use it during the election.
I do, and you should as well. Remember when they argued that decency was on the ballot back in 2020? Well, those same people with the moral high ground just pardoned a drug addict who prostituted and sex trafficked underage women and videoed it all on his laptop. That's what this truly is when you take the wrapping paper off of it. You see, the same people using the decency argument spent 4 years tweeting that no one is above the law. Apparently, that's not the case. If you're Joe Biden's son and you commit felonies, you're above the law. That's what this pardon means for the future of America. The most concerning aspect of this, though, is the blatant lies that Joe Biden told the American people in the past few months alone. I'm going to read 3 out for you. And
one-on-one of Mike Pence. Oh no, what the hell?
China has taken on everything from human rights, trade abuses, continues to underscore the fact that
the origins of
You were named the
COVID-19.
chair of the White House's COVID task force. You know, there's been a lot of
Is he a
controversy
lab
recently
leaker?
about the origins of COVID-19.
Right.
You know, for the first time, FBI Director Christopher Wray confirmed last month what we knew all along. He said, quote, the FBI has for quite some time now assessed that the origins of the pandemic
Oh
are
my
most
God, he is a
likely
lab
potential
leaker.
lab incident in Wuhan. Just a few weeks ago, the House and Senate passed legislation to declassify government information on the origins of COVID. Biden signed that bill into law. You know, as the original COVID task force chair, will you confirm today on the record
Did Charlie Kirk even believe in lab leak? I bet Charlie Kirk did believe in lab leak, but
that from the
I don't
information
know
that
for
you've
sure.
seen, you agree with the FBI director that the most likely origin of the coronavirus is from a lab leak?
Well, first, let me just say I'll always be proud of what the American people accomplished, particularly during those early days of the worst pandemic in 100 years, probably. I mean, in so many ways,
lab leak was common sense? Not really. I also don't know what you mean by was. I don't know if Charlie Kirk ever did a thing on lab leak.
because China had closed off the flow of information to the wider world and to our
Election
Yeah,
fraud? Oh no,
totally agree.
he's gonna be a 2020 election denier
You
too.
know, while we're on the subject of 2020, let's talk about the election that year. You know, looking back, do you believe that there was fraud or irregularities in the 2020 election?
Oh my
I would
god.
say to some extent there's always
When a media was coming up denying it, it was still obvious. It was not. It was never obvious and never made that much
always
sense.
fraud in elections.
okay.
We have processes for
There's
discerning.
no even lab leak theory doesn't even mean anything. There's 100 different conceptions of what lab leak means, of what lab it even came from. If it came from the like actual like gain of function whatever research shit in Wuhan, if it came from the one there's another lab. I don't think it's in Wuhan, but it's very close to Wuhan that also did. I don't think they did gain of function research, but they or some bio lab headquarter or whatever thing. And some people think it came from that one. Like,
learning that. And in this case, there was never evidence of widespread fraud that would have resulted in changing the outcome of the election. But that being
Whoa.
said, there were
Here in America, you brought up that fateful day. Let's talk about January 6th. You know, a lot of people were critical of you that day. They say that you didn't do enough before certifying those election results. If you could do that day over again, would you have done anything differently?
oh my god, this dude is
Talk about that
crazy.
here. But you know, after leaving office, you wrote a book, you started a think tank, you're currently here traveling the country, speaking on college campuses. You're doing everything somebody about
wasn't until July of start that. And I think Gen Z can be the generation that leads the charge with that. So that's why I'm doing this tour. When I sat down with Turning Point USA over the summer to plan out what we were going to do this fall, I said, what do you want to name the tour? And I said, oh, I've got a simple phrase, get off the sidelines. And they said, okay, we kind of like it.
It was leaked from Wuhan Institute of Virology, and the Chinese plus U.S. government was intentionally hiding info about it. If you didn't believe in lab leak in 2020, you were behind. I don't believe in lab leak now. I don't think there's any good evidence that it was leaked from the Wuhan Institute of Virology, and the Chinese plus U.S. government intentionally hid info about it. I mean, I think like China hid info about a decent number of things during COVID, but there's no evidence. Like we even have leaked stuff that the Chinese government didn't want us to have from the Wuhan lab, and it shows that they weren't working on any virus similar to COVID. Like, but we have found viruses similar to COVID. There's no evidence that came organically from magic. What do you mean from magic? Literally every other, or not every other, I think there's one exception to this. The other SARS viruses came from a very similar situation. They came from they came from bats. There was an intermediate species, like a raccoon dog, which is probably what it was in COVID-19 as well, and it spilled over to humans. The other SARS viruses came from like this exact same thing. It is much more likely that the same thing happened again than some like wild, insane conspiracy shit happened with the Chinese lab that intentionally leaked it or somehow accidentally leaked it, and then somehow was able to get the virus to look like it came from the Wuhan wet market, because all the early cases were at the Wuhan wet market, and there were a bunch of animal samples from the Wuhan wet market that had COVID-19 in it. Like, it doesn't make, none of the people who worked at the lab were infected early on. We have found viruses from in the wild that are like 97% similar to COVID-19. It's not magic. Localist, do you think like the SARS virus in 2001, and I think there was another one in 2003, like that was just magic? Like, what even came from magic?
Catching you, why'd you come up with that? Well, it's simple. And before I share it with the 6 campuses that we'll be going to, Auburn, Alabama, Ole Miss, Ellison, it was the night of the Alabama we have in this selection. We have a binary system here in this country. Writing in somebody saying, oh, I'm going to do the modest thing. I refuse to pinch my nose, but I'm actually going.
I don't even know if does this guy even debate people on campuses? I think he just gives a speech. I don't even think it's a balls to debate people, which makes sense because he's insane.
Hello, America. Honored.
Race theory.
Across the country,
Speaking out. Some circumstantial evidence supports this theory. What are you saying? You're not going to address anything I said at all? You're just going to cite some random thing? Reports from the WIV research COVID-like symptoms early on. This was all later determined to not be real. I know what you're citing because I've seen people cite this before. This was all later determined was almost certainly not COVID. I think the Peter Miller article goes over this. I think he goes over. Animals affected people. I think there's like that's not right second. There's a part where he goes over that thing. I don't know about the old SARS viruses. I'm above all of that. Then it's absurd to say like it's unbelievably retarded to say like it came from magic when we have documented cases, multiple documented cases of very similar viruses originating from like the same thing that you're saying is magic now. It's obviously not magic that you know, there'd be coronavirus from bats and it would transfer to some intermediate species and then spill over to humans when that has happened before. Saying it is magic is fucking absurd. Do a little digging. The 3 sick researchers narrative breaks down further. The Wall Street Journal article is written by the same journalist who announced that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. The anonymous government sources he quoted turned out to just be members of Trump's State Department. Lab leak theories politicized, but even outside government reports is not any clearer. We have lab theories pointing anywhere from July to December. Some give vague reasons, others point to specific things. One story leaked from the lab in October because the cell phone records or roadblocks inside a lab. Like, yeah, lab leaks don't agree on how the virus is made. Which, by the way, there was some, I don't remember the technicality of this, but it wouldn't even be, the Wuhan lab probably could not have even made COVID-19 if they wanted to, because of the injection of whatever, I forget the name of the thing. Kick chat doesn't work. Rip. Oh, wow. Sounds like a Munchausen trilemma argument. Huh? Are you going to talk to Nicholas Decker soon? I have no plans to talk to Nicholas Decker. I don't know. I'm going to talk to him that one time. A 3 sick resource story was simply invented by people in Trump's State Department, which I think is probably one of the things that it cites as well. Like, so the fact that the earliest outbreak occurred in Wuhan, like, that's also evidence of the zoonotic spillover thing, especially when we know that the earliest cases were like, we have it localized to the southeast corner of the wet market. Like, it's not just like why are we saying like, oh, the fact that it came from Wuhan is evidence of the lab leak thing? No, we have it localized to the southwest corner of the wet market. That's evidence of the spillover. Zoonotic is like, I think it's zoonotic spillover or whatever. Like the fact that we literally have animal samples. We took samples of dead animals from shit in the market and found COVID and like found the highest concentration of COVID where the raccoon dogs were. Paolo Narasa debate is set for next week, but he hasn't announced it yet. Hell fucking yeah. That'll be goated. I can't imagine Drew is going to do well at all. I don't think Drew is going to have any data that seriously, you know, combats anything Narasa says. Drew's doing a lot of research. Let's hope so. Well, actually, I mean, I hope Narasa wins because I'm probably closer to his side, but for Drew's sake. He uses the CIS. Oh no. Oh no. Does he know? Like, I don't know how much Narasa himself has written about it, but like, I know, like, you know, like Cato and other orgs, like, have had extensive beef with the CIS. Like, it's not like Narasa doesn't know about the CIS numbers. And doesn't know all the assumptions that they make that he has issues with or whatever. Like, I'm sure Narasta has himself has written about the CIS stuff. Yeah, anyway, locals, the sick researchers thing, as far as I know, or as far as I've read, just was like never credible. And it's dumb to say the fact that it happened in Wuhan is stronger evidence of it being a lab leak than it is of a zoonotic spillover, considering the best evidence shows that it happens not anywhere near the lab in Wuhan, but from the wet market. So you're insinuating that the original COVID transmission was foodborne, impossible? Foodborne? What do you mean the original? So my understanding is that, first of all, it's not impossible. We've already seen it happen in multiple other SARS viruses. This is how SARS viruses start. Like, just look at, I think there was one in 2001 and 2003, but 2001 SARS outbreak, like this was also 2002, like a spillover thing. But regardless, so it's not remotely impossible. It spread from food to human to human. So it probably spread from bats to raccoon dogs to humans. We don't know for sure, but that's what appears most likely. And this is how it's obviously not, I would like the admission that, like, we do know for other SARS viruses, this has happened before. 2003, SARS also started in markets that sold raccoon dogs. I don't know if we ever got final confirmation for the 2031. But there are other ones we have, because sometimes it's always hard to know exactly where viruses start or whatever. Central fact that money, government deficit equals private sector surplus. That's why every time the U.S. government tried to reduce national debt, a depression followed. Is that a tweet from, like, Relearning Economics or something? But I mean, certainly it's not impossible, localist. I don't know how you would claim it's impossible when, 2003, SARS jumped from civet cats to humans. It's not a cleavage site. Like, this was the, I think, thing that it would probably be hard for, I don't remember specifically this, but almost impossible for the Wuhan lab to recreate. Was the whatever specific cleavage site. Seen this picture 1,000 times. COVID's a little ball with spikes proteins sticking out. Each of these spike proteins has two functions. First, they stick to one of your cells via the ACE2 receptor. Then the virus has to fuse to the cell wall and turn inside. I'm familiar with sectorial balances identity. Yeah, of course. Top half of the spike protein S1 binds to ACE2, bottom half S2, fuses the cells together. In between S1 and S2, there's a piece called the furin cleavage site. It reacts to an enzyme inside your body called furin, something like that. It cuts S1 apart from S2. After S1 is cut off, S2 can stick to the cell wall and the virus can enter. Your body does some of the work for the virus, making its job easier. Viruses with the cleavage site are often more infectious. I don't buy foodborne as zoonotic origin. It's not super plausible. Foodborne definitely it doesn't. Why is it definitely impossible when it has literally happened before? It doesn't even have to be foodborne. I don't think we know for certain whether it was foodborne or just you wouldn't necessarily have to eat whatever intermediate species had it in order to get it. You just have to have contact with them. But why are you acting like it's impossible? Like, you definitely don't know enough to say it's impossible. Adding cleavage site to a virus can make it more dangerous to people. Scientists know this and they've done some experiments adding cleavage site to various viruses. Adding cleavage site requires adding 12 letters of RNA to the virus. You can think of it as 4 amino acids. That's how RNA works. Every 3 letters code for 1 amino acid. A string of amino acids is protein. That protein folds up into some shape. In this case, the shape is a spike. NDFCS is just a little loop on the middle of that shape. Furin comes and then cuts there to break S1 from S2. Binds primarily to whatever receptors, not that, wait, what are we saying now? Are we just quoting Grok now? Even if someone consumed food and contaminate the virus, it would be neutralized by the digestive tract before it could infect the person. Again, I don't think you don't have to, it doesn't have to be foodborne. It just has to, you just have to have contact with them. Like, I don't think, I don't know if the theory was ever that it was foodborne. Just that the animals that were sold for food, you know, had contracted the virus and were able to spread it to humans at some point. Okay, COVID has a furin cleavage site. Some say it is site could only come from a lab. In fact, there are 7 coronaviruses that infect humans. 4 of them have furin cleavage sites. First 4 of these cause colds. 2 of them have a cleavage site. Time COVID was first discovered, we don't know any closely related virus with a cleavage site or even a partial cleavage site, so it looked very suspicious. Over time, scientists were looking for more bat viruses, see if any had a cleavage site close to something a cleavage site. In 2020, they found one that had 3 amino acids or 9 nucleases inserted at that site. The virus called RMYN02 was sampled in a survey of, I don't know how to pronounce that, Wanan bat viruses done in 2019. It's only 93% similar. Eventually, I think we found some that were like they were like 96% or like 97% similar eventually. Physical contact with contaminated animals still wouldn't touch the respiratory system unless you snorted it. What do you mean? Like, you, the same way that people can contract viruses from someone else in the room without snorting them, like that might be, it's harder for it to jump from humans to animals, is my opinion. But again, we have, like it has happened before. So, like, why are we assuming it's impossible? Or, like, super unlikely? Is this Peter Miller's article? Yeah. SARS-CoV-3 virus, like, I'm pretty sure this was, like, this has been confirmed. One of them, we didn't, there's been multiple, like, SARS virus, things like this. Some of them, like, again, it's hard to, get the exact origin of a virus sometimes, but, like, some of these we have been able to trace back to, like, you know, literally what bats carried the virus and what the intermediate species was. Respiratory illness spread airborne. I doubt it would jump airborne from. What do you mean you doubt? That has happened before for other viruses. Why is it so impossible that this would happen? Why do you think we saw all the first cases localized to the southwest corner of the wet market? And why do you think we saw in the animal samples that were collected the highest concentrations of COVID from animals in the southwest corner of the west market? Those are the first confirmed cases, not just cases in totality. Yeah, we don't have, I mean, you're relying on, it's not even by confirmed, like, it's not even relying on, like, COVID tests. It's relying on, like, the influenza of unknown origin or of unknown cause or whatever. But we don't have any evidence for, again, I studied the animal samples as well. So there's that you still have to account for. Why wouldn't you, do you think, like, there's just a bunch of people, do you think, like, a bunch of the researchers were, like, sick and just no one found out ever, or do you think like a bunch of people right next to the lab like got sick and like didn't find out ever, or like you think it's more likely? You think it's more likely that the researchers and the family and whatever like got sick, and a bunch of people near the lab got sick, but we just never found those people at all, than it is people from the wet market got sick first, and we found all those people because the virus just came from the wet market? Which one? Like, really? This topic is so 2020. Yeah, but localist is stupid. Can debate localist in VC. I mean, if he wants to join VC, he can, but he's not actually interested in any conversation, I don't think. He's also probably drunk, but I don't know. But if he wants to join VC, he's free to do so, I guess. Localist, I already went over that. It seems there's no good source for that. And again, you would expect their family and people near them to get it as well, but it doesn't seem like that happened. What is one thing Trump could realistically do to make chance of supporting him more likely? I don't think Trump could do like. Not there's almost no shot at it. Like there'd have to. The issue is there's nothing within realistic ability to make Trump like more like or better than 99% of Democrats. Like there's nothing. I don't think there's anything realistic Trump could do to do that at this point. Like I don't think so. I doubt this will, I mean, it might come up or whatever. I probably want to just make a page on property taxes, even though I know probably just enough about tax policy and principle to defend them. But I think the tax by design thing has property taxes somewhere. Presumably. Oh, of land and property. 368. So it'll probably be worth reading some of this. It's just a short block. Revolt is building across the United States against property taxes. From Florida to North Dakota, states have attempted or are attempting to abolish them. The anger driving this movement comes from two sources. One is the belief that you are being taxed for living in your home. Is the property yours, or are you just renting from the government? Florida Governor Ron DeSantis asked. Boiled down to its very essence, fulfilling the promise that personal liberty is impossible if you can't actually own a piece of real property. Pennsylvania State Representative Russ Hyman argues. Second driving force that property tax and burdens are... Oh, what's up?
Hello.
Hey.
I saw you. I was like, maybe before I join, I should check out what Alfon's actually reading about. And, well, it's LVT. Again.
Kind of.
But the Ron DeSantis thing is actually so true, because let's say you asked old people, okay, how would you like to pay $1,000 a year in LVT property taxes, okay? And they will go, no, I will hate that. And then you'll give them another option and you'll say, all right, $50,000 you can pay us once off and you can own the land for life. We'll never land value tax you again. Obviously, the boomers are all going to take that because they love the idea of owning their land outright as like a sort of, not freehold, what is it, a allodial title.
Yeah.
Because the psychological benefit is so great. Because the $1,000 a year as a property tax is like, might only have a present value of $20,000. You'd probably go to a bank and say, hey, I'll swap you the cash flows. I'll just give you $20,000 now. But people in America love the idea of owning property so much. The LVT, the biggest loss from that will just be the psychological benefits all these people lose. Because they just love the idea of owning.
In America, that might actually be true for boomer Americans. That might actually be true.
So, just let them have their land, okay? I don't like... Sample thinks that psychological benefits don't matter, but they're basically everything. Everything is bought for a psychological benefit. Okay?
I mean, at bottom, like, I guess so, kind of, but I don't think that's, I don't think psychological benefits are the most useful thing to evaluate when deciding.
They are the most useful.
Like, I don't think that's...
It is.
I don't weigh that very heavily.
Do you know what the French quote about tax policy it is? You have to pluck the goose the most you can while causing the least hissing. It's not the actual plucking that matters. It's the amount of hissing, okay? And you want to try and reduce the amount of hissing to a minimal amount if you're a status. Actually, no. If I'm an ANCAP, okay, please enact the most unpopular taxes you possibly can. But as far as we're not on that, just you don't want to upset people too much because it matters. You think of how much do you think? I wonder how many suicides the IRS has caused. Probably more than 1,000, at least, because of the psychological toll of picking up a tax bill.
Yeah, but think of how many suicides they prevented with the taxpayer-funded. Actually, I don't know if it's taxpayer-funded, but suicide prevention lines. Okay, so on net, it's worth it.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, like, if you could show enough effective altruists, hey, your money's going to really good use towards this, they would fund it. I think Hamps has sent me something saying that welfare is 5 to 8% of GDP. Now, we're redistributing 20%, but if you redistribute the 5% in the most progressive manner you possibly could, it would probably do more good than the 20% where it's just all horizontal transfers between people in the same income group. Mainly the middle class stuff, pre-college, whatever. Ollie, I hate all this. I hate the nonsense that the scholarships. Oh, we're giving you money. It's just pure price discrimination, where you just try and rip off rich people for as much as you possibly can.
Is bad now. What the hell?
No, I just hate when government institutions do it.
Oh, well, I mean, not all scholarships are government, I guess.
Plus,
there are private scholarships, but
there's a reason why price discrimination doesn't work in the private market as well on the income basis, because all the if you did it, all the rich people would shop at one store that doesn't price discriminate. But obviously, you can't do that with a monopoly college system. So monopolies shouldn't be allowed to price.
We don't even have a monopoly college system. You can have a private college in the U.S. You can have a college that doesn't price discriminate.
Are you sure? Well, no, I mean the scholarships are price discrimination. I guarantee you they have scholarships.
I mean, I'm not sure exactly how it works. I mean, I don't think there's anything stopping you from offering only private scholarships or just not accepting certain government scholarships if you are a private institution. I don't know what the exact.
True, Hillsdale College does that. They're very based in the US. It's a bit different in Australia. That's a bit of the confusion. But Hillsdale College does it, and they have very cheap uni courses.
Yeah.
My first introduction to economics was Arthur Laffer. So I would just read everything he said. And then I went to Milton Friedman, and I thought everything. Like, what's the right economic thing? You just search up what Milton Friedman thought on X.
Colleges,
and then
to some extent, monopolistic competition.
Actually, the beautiful thing was once I got to the Austrian school, you really could just branch out, and there were a dozen more people rather than Friedman or whoever you came across. I do actually think that's a problem. In a lot of the Twitter, they just go off one person.
My introduction was Krugman, so I got to read everything Krugman.
Oh, that's not bad.
Ever. My introduction was Richard Wolff. I got to read everything that Richard Wolff has written.
Who is it? Seth hates Krugman. I didn't get a full reason why. Have you seen the Matt Bruning thing about savers don't do anything productive?
Yeah. We're going to talk about that. Yeah, I had that open actually. Yeah, the blind, where he gives the example of blind trust or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could just use the index fund example. It's not that different.
Yeah.
And it's pretty obvious what they do. And economic theory hasn't said they perform any other function special. Yeah, I mean, there's amount of risk in the world, and people need to take that risk. All the risk is being reduced down to systemic risk, and that's good. And we should have more people.
The argument he gives, which is obviously not how market pricing works, is just that, well, if that were true, those who, the poorest people who are taking a higher risk when they save would get more of a return or whatever.
There's a law of one price, is that.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
But it is technically true that if someone is poor, let's say we define poor as having very low amount of wealth, then probably the marginal utility they gain from adding $1 of wealth, suppose it was under-provisioned by some random event, they probably should add to their stock of wealth. So in that sense, they do earn higher returns.
Yeah.
If you lose
it doesn't make much sense to me. Under capitalism, two people taking on identical risk, e.g. equities with the same risk profiles, do not receive identical compensation for doing so. In fact, that is integral to the whole idea of risk. I mean, obviously,
me and you both own I've never heard of a situation where we both own a stock and we buy it at the same price, then we check the stock prices later, and if I conclude I made more money than you, I'm probably wrong.
No, I mean he's talking about people who buy equities with the same risk profile. So just be like buying two stocks that are assessed to have the same amount of risk associated with them.
Oh, two different stocks.
Yeah, like one person getting a high return, and it's like, well,
that's just gambling.
Yeah, well, that's what he says at the end. It's gambling. That's why he says it's
that doesn't mean you should restrict it in any way. That's just an argument to show both of them should diversify their portfolios so they each own half of each.
It's not based on individual desert. Rather, it is based on the exact opposite: randomness and good fortune. It's gambling.
Actually, that doesn't mean you should redistribute gambling profits, even. I mean,
Well, yeah.
let's say there was
Well, I think he.
non-font. I'm going to give you an investment, okay? 50% of the time it's going to give you $20, $15, and 50% of the time it's going to lose you $10. You're going to take the investment?
Probably not.
But no, $15 you make, $10 you lose, 50-50.
Wait, repeat that? wait.
You make $15 50% of the time, and you lose $10 50% of the time.
No, I would not. I don't think I would take that.
Why? It's plus EV.
That if I just doing the, I'm not doing the math in my head.
50% of the time you make $15. 50% of the time you lose $10.
No, I guess that would be positive. Well, sure, I'll take it then. Free
Right.
money, let's go.
Now, under Matt Bruning's society, he will conclude the $15 profits you make anytime you do. That's just a gambling profit. We're going to tax that away. And now all these investments won't be made. This is also the problem with the DBCFT, is that if you work out, because it taxes returns above the normal rate, right?
Yeah.
But what if you have a project that only returns above the normal rate 50% of the time, like an oil exploration thing? You might not have an expected rent to be made, but ex post, the DBCFT will say, "Oh, you did make a rent because you did find oil." So all the high standard.
You also get tax credits, right? If you don't make a rent, if you have negative cash flow.
Yeah, but well, that's slightly better, but obviously tax credits are not worth 100 cents on the dollar to any firm unless they have an infinite budget constraint, no budget constraint, and they're going to be in business forever. And there's no discounting of them because the government doesn't like to say, well, 100 cents of $1 of tax credits this year, they're not going to augment it to $1.05 with interest rates.
I mean, yeah,
I suppose
technically it'd be better to have it be literally cash transfers, but that's just politically not feasible. So,
well, actually, if you wanted to, then it's just the equivalent of the government taking a stake in every business, which they could do. But I suppose you would also have a situation. Let's say the government took 99% of a stake in every entrepreneurial business you did. I'll have to write this up as a thing later, as a medium. Probably not for months, but it will be the entrepreneurial thing again. What did I come? Oh yeah, I came here to complain about critical race theorists, and you asked for resources, and they give you like top 3 resources on critical race theory, expecting like a textbook or something, and they give you links to TikTok lives. This is just incredible. This is. I could not hope for better enemies that I don't even need to address. Yeah, I think I've said my bit.
Okay, thanks. I love the TikTok live slop. Let's go.
What? Are you reading anything else by DeSantis? What I don't like about him is every time he cuts taxes, he cuts it on a few items instead of just doing an actual sales tax reduction. Like, there's going to be no taxes on diapers. Like,
well, that's
for women's health products.
Let's go, my goat. The feminist.
Yes, it's a based public choice approach. You just, instead of, who cares about a 0.25% decrease in the sales tax? If you can come out and say you're not taxing women's health products, you get to host a.
That's the political win.
What was it? You know how samples all for this negative internalities stuff which I don't think exists. And I think as soon as you try and force people to do it, they'll just do things that are actually irrational instead of irrational in his opinion. Like, let's say you forced everyone to save a third of their income and they earned 5%. I bet there would be a bunch of high time preference people taking out 15% loans against their future wealth.
Well, I mean, you can technically just restrict that from happening. Like, we don't let you borrow against your Social Security income, right? But
yeah, but that's not a good policy. I want to buy people's Social Security income. Actually, no, I want to buy credit default swaps on people's Social Security income.
let's go.
Because I think it will. They'll have to cut it eventually.
Well, you'd be surprised.
I know we've been saying that for. Sorry.
I said I wouldn't count on it. I wouldn't count on our political system to be able to achieve that one.
Be able to cut Social Security.
Yeah, I mean the boomers are they're the ones voting. I don't think it'd be difficult. It'd be very difficult to do that.
Oh no, I mean like in 20, 30 years when you actually have a problem where it's default on Social Security or default on the debt or raise sales taxes to. I don't even know if that would work.
Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, we will, but don't rely on your Social Security to fund your retirement. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
All right, see ya.
Okay. Well, thanks for stopping by. Okay. Well, damn, gone already. But yeah, this was wild. Well, apparently there was someone who recommended a book kind of about debunking these views or whatever from like the 1860s, and I wonder if there's a more modern version of it, because sometimes text from the 1880s, well, I mean, one, it's hard to read, but two, it also just not going to have like papers in it. Like nowadays we have the benefit of econometrics, and you can cite cool papers and stuff. Capital interests are critical. History of economic theory. It's also 300 pages, but I don't look that hard to read, but it would like papers and stuff. I don't think it's going to have that, obviously. Well, okay. Well, I mean, this isn't like that hard to read, but it is a little. All these presidents just have been a deplorable hindrance in the development of the of theory. Like, you know, in modern times, people don't you would not see that sentence very often. Second driving form is property tax. Burdens are often tied to the notional market value of your asset, your home, rather than the owner's ability to pay at a cost of providing the services the taxes finance. They function like a wealth tax, which isn't good. Seniors on Social Security in 2025 received a 2.5% cost of living adjustment in Minnesota resident notes. Yet my city property tax increased by 10% to 48% over the past 5 years. First of these points is based on a misapprehension, albeit an understandable one, given the second point. Property taxes are payments for locally provided and consumed goods and services. Property taxes are not a fee for living in your home, but a payment for locally provided consumed goods and services like schools, police, parks, the fire department, etc. If advocates of property tax abolition are willing to forego these goods and services, then there's no problem. But few of them are. The question becomes, how will these goods and services be paid for? The ideal is to charge for a local park the same way we charge for a water park or fire department, the same way we could for pest control, but public goods. though less ubiquitous and often claimed, do exist. So simply paying for services isn't always possible. Hey, I'm curious what he links for that, but it's just yeah. Squad car cruising the street ahead of tourists. Criminals from burgling number 48 and number 50. It is non-rivalrous in the jargon. Whether number 48 pays for it or not, it is not excludable. And whether they are still paying their mortgage or not. In these cases, if you want to locally provide and consume services, you must pay for it somehow. Local service fees burden should be based on the cost of their provision. Payment method commonly used for locally provided and consumed goods and services is commonly called property taxes, and they are frequently driven by the value of your house. So the above misconceptions about property taxes are understandable. If we deal with these misconceptions and genuine problems with property taxes, we can construct something fairer, might garner more support or at least tolerance. First step towards reforming the system of paying for locally provided consumed goods and services. They ought to be renamed. When Margaret Thatcher abolished the rate system, which was essentially a property tax, she called it its replacement the community charge. While this was hugely controversial in its application, it was an accurate reflection on what the payment actually was. Oh no, we're making taxes salient. No, don't make them salient. No, people don't want to pay them when they're salient. I can't do my epic awesome socialism when people know what they're paying and what we're doing with it. Second step would be to break the link between changes in the burden of these payments and changes in the notional value of the payer's property. The burden should change as the cost of providing the goods and services changes. A local taxpayer bill of rights, which limits the growth of government spending to oh no, evil, no, I can't do my socialism. Like the growth rate of inflation plus population, for example, would help contain community charge burdens by containing local government spending. Finally, I would imagine, I don't trust local governments to handle this well at all. The issue is voters are retarded. And they would, they would not understand how much this actually needed to fund their shit. And they would just vote for whatever would lead to the fucking lowest property tax. Like, it'd be stupid. Finally, once the cost of these locally provided and consumed goods and services have been determined, there are a number of ways to apportion it between taxable units. One, and also people are not, it's going to be nativists too. Like all the fucking boomers are not going to want to fund elementary schools or whatever, because they don't use them, and they don't want new people moving to the town to use them. There's going to be a bunch of fucking the same way they don't want new people moving to the town and living in apartment buildings. It's going to be the same fucking bullshit, isn't it? Once the cost of these locally provided and consumed goods and services has been determined, why do you like landlords? What do you mean by like? I don't have anything against them. I mean, I think, depending on what you mean by like landlord, like there are landlords that actually do like build the properties and stuff, or manage building the properties. Like, they're probably landlords who are just essentially, like, there's gotta be a better term for it. I don't want to say like mid-level manager equivalent, something. Like that. I mean, I don't know. There's certainly gonna be landlords that are just owners that don't actually manage building the properties that much. They don't provide the capital for building the properties that, simply like don't do much that's actually productive, and just sort of collect the rents in both the literal sense and economic sense, but land rents. I don't know. I don't know what percentage of landlords are which. Close to the current system would be allocated according to each unit share of total property value and locality. Another attachment is set to approximate private sector fee as closely as possible by apportioning the cost by the number of people in each unit. Some taxes are better than other. Most people who want to abolish property tax want to keep locally provided and consumed goods and services that the tax is financed. There are several proposals for how to finance them, ranging from handouts to from state governments to levies on migrants, wires to foreign countries. Let's go. Let's just fund everything by a remittance tax. Dude, we should do interstate or intrastate remittance taxes. Okay, any income from people in Pennsylvania going to Florida or whatever, their families in Florida, should tax that. That'd be base. I don't think that's constitutional, but well, those pushing these schemes often present as conservative because they want to push for to abolish the tax. Once they're also pushing to abolish spending, they are in reality merely seeking that free lunch, which a wise man told us does not exist. Notably, few takers among the abolitionist ranks for hefty sales tax hikes that could fill the gap. Those who consume goods and services as far as possible ought to be those who pay for them. Wow. Anyway, well, I guess we'll probably get to this fucking tomorrow. I don't want to. It's late. Started streaming late because I've been lazy. I've been playing Skate and Sonic racing bullshit instead of streaming. Okay, the new Sonic racing game though, Sonic Racing Crossbows or whatever, that shit goes hard. That shit goes hard. Okay, I didn't expect it to go hard, but it goes hard. Next stream, I mean, probably tomorrow / later today, depending on how I want to look at it. Now that I'm back in the swing of things or whatever, yeah, and then I'll probably on tomorrow, Wednesday, I don't know if I'll stream. If I do, it might be like a IRL test stream. Just for a little bit to test out some of the stuff. Yeah, I should hopefully. I think I might set up some TikTok debate shit too for later this week. So we'll hopefully have that stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna go. Maybe edit something. If you guys are lucky. Let's go on a walk. Yeah, fun time. And head over to food shops on YouTube, I guess. And I don't think anyone's watching on Twitch, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, I also gotta fix. I'm gonna see if I can fuck with the settings on the new phone camera. It looks weird. But yeah, anyway, love streaming. Love you guys watch me stream. All that jazz. Like, subscribe, share if you haven't. I will see you guys till tomorrow. But yeah, it does mean a lot to me that got a lot of people, people stop by, people say hi, people come in and chat to me. Stuff. It's all fun, fun time. Love you guys. See ya tomorrow. Subscribe.